Namaste, the Noni Snowflake here. The Shinto's yoga experience, the Shinto's yoga experience with Shinto self-empowerment. The Bitcoin standard, the decentralized alternative to central banking. Apologies if there's a mispronunciation, by Saifedean Ammous. The essential guide to Bitcoin's history, properties, uses, and future. Bitcoin has no owner, no authority that can decide on its fate. It is owned by the crowd, its users, and it now has a track record of several years. Enough, it's actually, I'm pretty sure it's his 12th birthday at the start of this year. 2009, yeah, January 2009. So that's a lot more than several years now. And 12, as we say, is the number of complex stability. And the ethos and the ethics. And it now has a track record of several years, enough for it to be an animal in its own right. Its mere existence is an insurance policy that will remind governments that the last object the establishment could control, namely the currency, is no longer their monopoly. This gives us, the crowd, an insurance policy against an Orwellian future. From the foreword by Nassim Nicholas Taleb. In the Bitcoin standard, economist Saifedean Ammous walks readers through the fascinating history of the technologies of money and explores what gave those technologies their monetary role, how they lost it, what that teaches us about the desirable features of money, and how Bitcoin is designed to improve on these technologies. Ammous elucidates the economic, social, cultural, and political benefits of sound money over unsound money to allow for an informed discussion of the potential role Bitcoin could play in the digital economy of the future, rather than as a currency for criminals or a cheap mass consumer payment network. This book argues Bitcoin is emerging as a decentralized, politically neutral, free market alternative to national central banks, with potentially enormous implications for individual freedom and prosperity. For anyone looking for a clear understanding of this new digital money, the Bitcoin standard is the essential resource. To my wife and daughter, who give me a reason to write, and to Satoshi Nakamoto, hear, hear. Nema to that. Amen, Nema. Who gave me something worth writing about. Contents about the author. Forward, prologue. Chapter 1, Money. Chapter 2, Primitive Monies. Chapter 3, Monetary Metals. Why gold? Roman Golden Age and decline. Byzantium and the Bezant. The Renaissance. La Belle Époque. Chapter 4, Government Money. Monetary Nationalism and the End of the Free World. The Interwar Era. World War II and Bretton Woods. Government Money's Track Record. Chapter 5, Money and Time Preference. Monetary Inflation. Saving and Capital Accumulation. Innovations 0 to 1 versus 1 to many. Artistic Flourishing. Chapter 6, Capitalism's Information System. Capital Market Socialism. Business Cycles and Financial Crisis. Sound Basis for Trade. Chapter 7, Sound Money and Individual Freedom. Should government manage the money supply? Unsound money and perpetual war. Limited versus omnipotent government. The bezel. Chapter 8, Digital Money. Bitcoin as digital cash. Supply, value, and transactions. Appendix to Chapter 8. Chapter 9. What is Bitcoin good for? Store of value, individual sovereignty, international and online settlement, global unit of account. Chapter 10. Bitcoin questions. Is Bitcoin mining a waste? Out of control. Why nobody can change Bitcoin. Anti-fragility. Can Bitcoin scale? Is Bitcoin for criminals? How to kill Bitcoin, a beginner's guide. Altcoins. Blockchain technology. Acknowledgements, bibliography, list of figures, list of tables, and index. About the author. Saifedean Ammous is a professor of economics at the Lebanese American University and member of the Center on Capitalism and Society at Columbia University. He holds a PhD in Sustainable Development from Columbia University. Forward by Nassim Nicholas Taleb. Thank you so much, Subatomic Energies, Multiverse, Gaia. So much appreciation and gratitude. Consciousness. Let us follow the logic of things from the beginning, or rather from the end. Modern times. We are, as I am writing these lines, witnessing a complete riot against some class of experts in domains that are too difficult for us to understand, such as macroeconomic reality, and in which not only is the expert not an expert, but he doesn't know it. That previous Federal Reserve bosses, Greenspan and Bernanke, had little grasp of empirical reality is something we only discovered too late. One can macro BS longer than macro BS. One can macro BS longer than micro BS, which is why we need to be careful of whom to endow with centralized macro decisions. What makes it worse is that all central banks operated under the same model, making it a perfect monoculture. In complex domains, expertise doesn't concentrate. Under organic reality, things work in a distributed way, as F.A. Hayek has convincingly demonstrated. But Hayek used the notion of distributed knowledge. Well, it looks like we do not even need the knowledge part for things to work well. Nor do we need individual rationality. All we need is structure. It doesn't mean all participants have a democratic share in decisions. One motivated participant can disproportionately move the needle. What I have studied as the asymmetry of the minority rule. But every participant has the option to be that player. Somehow, under scale transformation, a miraculous effect emerges. Rational markets do not require any individual trader to be rational. In fact, they work well under zero intelligence. A zero intelligence crowd, under the right design, works better than a Soviet-style management composed of maximally intelligent humans. Which is why Bitcoin is an excellent idea. It fulfills the needs of the complex system, not because it is a cryptocurrency, but precisely because it has no owner. But precisely because it has no owner. No authority that can decide on its fate. No authority that can decide on its fate. It is owned by the crowd. It is owned by its users. It is owned by you and me. Do you own it yet? And it now has a track record of several years, enough for it to be an animal in its own right. For other cryptocurrencies to compete, they need to have such a Hayekian property. Bitcoin is a currency without a government, a currency without a government. But one may ask, didn't we have gold, silver, and other metals, another class of currencies without a government? Not quite. When you trade gold, you trade loco, Hong Kong, and end up receiving a claim on a stock there, which you might need to move to New Jersey. Banks control the custodian game and governments control banks. Or rather, bankers and government officials are, to be polite, tight together. So Bitcoin has a huge advantage over gold in transactions. Clearance does not require a specific custodian. No government can control what code you have in your head. Finally, Bitcoin will go through hiccups. It may fail, but then it will be easily reinvented as we now know how it works. In its present state, it may not be convenient for transactions, not good enough to buy your decaffeinated espresso macchiato at your local virtue signaling coffee chain. It may be too volatile to be a currency for now. The volatility is going down. It's still volatile, but it is going down. You've got all the big corporate investors investing in it now, and lots of millionaires that were skeptics investing in it now. But it is the first organic currency, the first organic kind of currency coming from someone that didn't want recognition for it. That's powerful. But its mere existence is an insurance policy that will remind governments that the last object the establishment could control, namely the currency, is no longer their monopoly. This gives us, the crowd, an insurance policy against an Orwellian future. Nassim Nicholas Taleb, January the 22nd, 2018. 1 day off. No way. 3 years and 1 day. Ah! Shh. Behave. Keep calm. Keep calm. Okay. The prologue. On November the 1st, 2008, a computer programmer going by the pseudonym Satoshi Nakamoto. Let's just all say a massive thanks to Satoshi Nakamoto. You know your shizers, man. Well done. Thank you. Oh, my heart like that. There's a little click in there. On November the 1st, 2008. That's like the 111 portal opening. Shh. On November the 1st, 2008, a computer programmer going by the pseudonym Satoshi Nakamoto sent an email to a cryptography mailing list to announce that he had produced a new electronic cash system that's fully peer-to-peer, with no trusted third party. Shiver me tingles. He copied the abstract of the paper explaining the design and a link to it online. In essence, Bitcoin offered a payment network with its own native currency and used a sophisticated method for members to verify all transactions without having to trust in any single member of the network. The currency was issued at a predetermined rate to reward the members who spent their processing power on verifying the transactions, thus providing a reward for their work. The startling thing about this invention was that, contrary to many other previous attempts at setting up a digital cash, it actually worked. While a clever and neat design, there wasn't much to suggest that such a quirky experiment would interest anyone outside the circles of cryptography geeks. Thank you, my geek friends at University at Exeter. We absorbed a lot of good energy and information through your rainbow electromagnetic fields, I tell you. For months, this was the case, as barely a few dozen users worldwide were joining the network and engaging in mining, sending each other coins that began to acquire the status of collectibles, albeit in digital form. There's an asterisk there right near the start, so with no trusted third party. The full email can be found on the Satoshi Nakamoto Institute archive of all known Satoshi Nakamoto writings, available at www.nakamotoinstitute.org, NAKAMOTO Institute, INSTITUTE.org. But in October 2009, an internet exchange sold 5,050 bitcoins for $5.02 at a price of $1 for 1,006 bitcoins to register the first purchase of a bitcoin with money. Those numbers are speaking to us massively. It has to be, because he wouldn't think of such a beautiful thing for the people without understanding consciousness. Oh my God. Sorry. So there's two asterisks in there. But in October 2009, an internet exchange, the now defunct New Liberty Standard, sold 5,050 bitcoins for $5.02 at a price of $1 for 1,006 bitcoins to register the first purchase of a bitcoin with money. And that's got number 3, Nathaniel Popper, Digital Gold, Harper 2015. The price was calculated by measuring the value of the electricity needed to produce a bitcoin. In economic terms, this seminal moment was arguably the most significant in Bitcoin's life. Bitcoin was no longer just a digital game being played within a fringe community of programmers. It had now become a market good with a price, indicating that someone, somewhere, had developed a positive valuation for it. On May the 22nd, 2010, someone else paid 10,000 bitcoins to buy 2 pizza pies worth $25, representing the first time that Bitcoin was used as a medium of exchange. The token had needed 7 months to transition from being a market good to being a medium of exchange. Since then, the Bitcoin network has grown in the number of users and transactions, and the processing power dedicated to it. While the value of its currency has risen quickly, exceeding $7,000 per Bitcoin as of November 2017, asterisks. In other words, in the 8 years it has been a market commodity, a Bitcoin has appreciated around almost 8 million fold, or precisely, ready, 793,513,944%. From its first price of 0.000994 cents to its all-time high at the end of writing, $7,888. It's currently sitting around, we haven't looked at it for a while because we have to pull ourselves away from it and do other stuff and then go back. It's currently sitting at around $23,000, having reached its all-time high of between $41,000 and $42,000 about a month ago-ish. You have to do your own research on all of this. Time is a very strange concept for us as we're on this strange journey of life. But it's going to be a very rewarding journey of life. We love the numbers. After 8 years, it is clear that this invention is no longer just an online game, but a technology that has passed the market test and is being used by many for real world purposes, with its exchange rate being regularly featured on TV, in newspapers, and on websites, along with the exchange rates of national currencies. 2222. Oh, calm down, calm down. And breathe. Bitcoin can be best understood as distributed software that allows for transfer of value using a currency protected from unexpected inflation without relying on trusted third parties. In other words, Bitcoin automates the functions of a modern central bank and makes them predictable and virtually immutable by programming them into code decentralized among thousands of network members, none of whom can alter the code without the consent of the rest. Magical. That's us, by the way, sorry. This makes Bitcoin the first demonstrably reliable operational example of digital cash and digital hard money. While Bitcoin is a new invention of the digital age, the problems it purports to solve, namely providing a form of money that is under the full command of its owner and likely to hold its value in the long run, are as old as human society itself. I mean, think what this can do for all those underdeveloped countries and the people in it. It gives them a chance for a start. That's just beautiful. This book presents a conception of these problems based on years of studying this technology and the economic problems it solves, and how societies have previously found solutions for them throughout history. My conclusion may surprise those who label Bitcoin a scam or ruse of speculators and promoters out to make a quick buck. Indeed, Bitcoin improves on earlier store of value solutions, and Bitcoin's suitability as the sound money of a digital age may catch naysayers by surprise. History can foreshadow what's to come, particularly when examined closely. And time will tell just how sound the case made in this book is. As it must, the first part of the book explains money, its function, and properties. As an economist with an engineering background, I have always sought to understand a technology in terms of the problems it purports to solve, which allows for the identification of its functional essence and its separation from incidental, cosmetic, and insignificant characteristics. By understanding the problems money attempts to solve, it becomes possible to elucidate what makes for sound and unsound money, and to apply that conceptual framework to understand how and why various goods, such as seashells on the seashore, such as seashells, beads, metals, and government money, have served the function of money, and how and why they may have failed at it or served society's purposes to store value and exchange it. The second part of the book discusses the individual, social, and global implications of sound and unsound forms of money through our history. Sound money allows people to think about the long term and to save and invest more for the future. Saving and investing for the long run are the key to capital accumulation and the advance of human civilization. Money is the information and measurement system of an economy. And sound money is what allows trade, investment, and entrepreneurship to proceed on a solid basis. Whereas unsound money throws these processes into disarray. Sound money is also an essential element of a free society, as it provides for an effective bulwark against despotic government. The third section of the book explains the operation of the Bitcoin network and its most salient economic characteristics, and analyzes the possible uses of Bitcoin as a form of sound money, discussing some use cases which Bitcoin does not serve well as addressing some of the most common misunderstandings and misconceptions surrounding it. This book is written to help the reader understand the economics of Bitcoin and how it serves as the digital iteration of the many technologies used to fulfill the functions of money throughout history. This book is not an advertisement or invitation to buy into Bitcoin currency. Far from it, the value of Bitcoin is likely to remain volatile, at least for a while. The Bitcoin network may yet succeed or fail for whatever foreseeable or unforeseeable reasons, and using it requires technical competence and carries risks that make it unsuited for many people. This book does not offer investment advice, but aims at helping elucidate the economic properties of the network and its operation. My left shoulder is loving this. To allow readers an informed understanding before deciding whether they want to use it. I don't know, did we read when it was written? Only with such an understanding, and only after extensive and thorough research into the practical operational aspects of owning and storing Bitcoins, should anyone consider holding value in Bitcoin. While Bitcoin's rise in market value may make it appear like a no-brainer as an investment, a closer look at the myriad hacks, attacks, scams, and security failures that have cost people their Bitcoins provides a sobering warning to anyone. While Bitcoin's rise in market value may make it appear like a no-brainer as an investment, a closer look at the myriad hacks, attacks, scams, and security failures that have cost people their Bitcoins provides a sobering warning. to anyone who thinks that owning Bitcoins provides a guaranteed profit. Should you come out of reading this book thinking that the Bitcoin currency is something worth owning, your first investment should not be in buying Bitcoins, but in time spent understanding how to buy, store, and own Bitcoin securely. It is the inherent nature of Bitcoin that such knowledge cannot be delegated or outsourced. There is no alternative to personal responsibility for anyone interested in using this network, and that is the real investment that needs to be made to get into Bitcoin. And the first chapter is chapter 1, money. And one of the main ethoses of the Shinto yoga experience is first and foremostly taking self-accountability and self-responsibility for your life. So I hope you enjoyed. I know that a lot of us sure did. Namaste from Zanoni Snowflake Purcell, the Shinto yoga experience with Shinto self-empowerment. Take wonderful care of yourselves, beautiful people.